you start, Larry, with what Donald Trump, it seems that he's just changing the argument. Everything is going to get resolved, it seems, because the strait is open today, Donald Trump said, and the mines are not there anymore. The United States mine swept all those, they're not there anymore. And the reparation was resolved, and here is the result. Here's the solution for reparation that the United States, that Iran is asking for. Here is what Donald Trump said.
Reparations, you might say, or they asked for money for the damage that we've done. I said, that's a good idea. Well, we're going to ask for money for the damage they've done over a 50-year period. Whether you go SS Cole or whether you go all of the people that were so badly hurt, so badly wounded or killed, many thousands of people, and maybe damages for the 52,000 protesters over the last 4 months that were killed in Iran. We think their family should get damages for killing their person or their child or mother, father that were protesting. It's at least, it was 52,000 a month and a half ago. So now what is it? So if there's damages to be paid, I think Iran should pay those damages.
So this part was resolved.
I mean, he's living in a fantasy world, completely divorced from reality. It is shocking, absolutely shocking, that he could just say such stupid things, stupid, incorrect things. And the number initially, oh, they killed 5,000. No, they killed 10,000. No, they killed 20. No, 30, 40, no, 52. I heard another Zionist just they claim it was 60. Oh my God! I mean, it's just, it is completely without evidence, but they keep repeating it over and over and over, feeling that if we repeat it enough, it becomes true. It's just, it's ridiculous. It's obscene. But there you have it.
And he added that to his new post on Truth Social. He said that Iran should pay damages for death caused in Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, and Gaza. So he's going to go back to the American Civil War, and those 750,000 people were killed because, maybe somehow he's trying to resolve the issue, Larry. I think the administration is in some sort of denial. I don't know if you feel this way as well. The Strait of Hormuz can be somehow, the problem can be resolved with the pipeline, using the pipelines, going to the Red Sea, maybe some other places. I assume they're going to send it to the Red Sea.
Just stop there with that. That is so out of touch. And I know that Besant said that, but it just underscores the ignorance of this crew. Is oil the only thing that's brought out of the Persian Gulf? No. There was liquid natural gas. There was helium. In fact, the LNG brought out was 25% of the global supply. The helium, 40 to 44% of the global supply. I've seen different numbers for it. Sulfur, 30 to 35% of the global supply. Urea, ditto, 30 to 35% of the global supply. That stuff's not coming out via pipeline. That's got to come out through the Gulf. And those are critical commodities, I guess is the right way to, or chemicals that are essential for the global economy. I mean, these people say that, Besant and Netanyahu, all we got to do is build a pipeline and that'll solve the problem. God, I hate stupid people. I really do. Particularly when they're supposed to be smart.
Yeah. The other problem is the mines. And here is Donald Trump resolving that as well.
Because they will, on occasion, drop a mine, and we find the mines. We've mine swept the entire strait, as you probably maybe heard, maybe you didn't hear, but we control the strait 100%.
So
Yeah, you know, and monkeys fly out of his ass. Okay, yeah, yeah. He said so. He just had this big monkey fly out of his ass. It must be true because he said it. I mean, this is patently absurd. All you got to do, and anybody listening or reading or watching, go to vesselfinder.com or marinetraffic.com. Pick your one. It shows the current location, shows what's going in and out of the strait. There's nothing going out on the Omani side that's showing up with radar or the line itself to be geolocated. And the ones that turn off their AIS system, they get targeted by Iran, and Iran lights them up with a missile. But you've got, let's see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 ships. They appear to all be cargo ships headed out of the Gulf right now that are right off the coast of Keshem Island. And there's only one ship coming in right now, cargo ship. So, oh no, actually, I take that back. The one, what is this? Our ship. Yeah, we got two cargo ships by Keshem Island, one tanker that has left, and then you got two more, one tanker and one bitumen tanker headed in. So, you know, a little bit, but it's not under U.S. control. It's under Iranian control.
yeah, it's just he somehow. I don't know if there is anybody in, you know, how do you see the way that the mainstream media is handling the situation, Larry, with Donald Trump?
They're a bunch of lazy bastards. They don't ask questions. They don't dig deep. They let him get away with saying what he's saying without challenging him. Some reporters just said, Mr. President, that's not correct. We're looking right here, right now on vesselfinder.com. There's no U.S. ships present, and there are these other ships going through. It's just not true. But they won't challenge him on it.
Larry, do you see the attack happening? Donald Trump, he was asked today if the United States would attack Iran. He said that option is on the table, and we are prepared for that. And the perception on the part of Iranian is that, that could happen because they're prepared for that.
In fact, I thought I just saw, I was on another show before coming on this one, and they showed me the quote that was issued by, I forget who in Iran issued it, but basically said, we're done negotiating with the United States. We're just going to wait till Trump leaves office, and we're going to continue to do our thing. Yeah. So you saw that as well?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
I think the signs, there are two signs. The people who are, I saw some people talking about the Wahidi being, right now he's Ahmad Wahidi, who was, right now he is the head of the IRGC. He was appointed as the head of IRGC. Many people said that maybe he's, putting him as the head of IRGC is a sign that Iran is de-escalating. I see no sign of de-escalations on the part of Iran. Even the head of National Security Council, the new one, Rezai, is a sign for me that they want to escalate. He said in April, Larry, when the ceasefire was announced, he said, there is no point of the ceasefire. We have to attack and sink some American ships here. And the only defensive would be offensive. offensive
Yeah.
strategy. There is nothing, somehow softening in Iran, in my opinion.
No, 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 not at all. In fact, I think as we discussed the whole Rezai um, move, as I speculated, but I think it's probably sound that Mustafa dealt with Rezai sometime back in 1987, 88, when Rezai was, he was only, let's see, in 1988, he was 32 years old, 33 years old. So he wasn't an old guy. He was a young guy, but he was in a commanding position within the IRGC.
It was
And I wouldn't,
27.
no, he was born in 54. Okay. And so he's really the same age as I am. So 1980, 1988, I was 33. So check your math, my friend.
Yeah.
So, but that's, that's a young age, but I suspect they've known each other for that long. That would be an interesting twist if true. But I think it's potentially worth considering or looking at. But the point is that Mustafa Khamenei now has somebody in charge in that advisor slot that is IRGC, not part of the, if you will, the Pezeshkian crowd, because Ali Larijani, who before he was martyred, he was more aligned with Pezeshkian as a sort of and seen as a moderate, as well as we talked about this fellow that was just replaced. He came out of the Larijani camp, so you can make the case that he also was inclined to be more open to negotiations and making concessions. Whereas Rezai, I think, recognizes concessions are a waste of time. The United States has already decided that it's going to destroy Iran. They're just looking for the opportunity.
I think your assessment is spot on when it comes to Larijani. By the way, Larijani was the close friend of Rezai, who's right now the head of National Security Council. They were so
Oh, okay.
close. They were so close, but Rezai's sort of understanding of the war is totally different because Larijani was not, a military man. Rezai is. He was. He all his career is based on the military and his sort of role during the Iran-Iraq war. He knows the battlefield. He knows the casualties. He knows the
Right.
repercussions of the war for the society, for the country. And I think that's a sign for the people inside, Iran and within the government of Pezeshkian, the position of the supreme leader of Iran, that he's gonna double down with the situation.
Yeah, yeah. So it is. I think Iran's position is hardened. Trump is still talking a little bit of trash, not quite as much as before. Still issuing these threats, but as we've seen over the last 8 days, there have been at least 6 different ships that have been attacked for violating the PGSA protocols. Not filling out the form, not getting permission. So Iran continues to hit them and sink them, set them on fire.
The Iranian president had a meeting with the supreme leader for 7 hours, more than 7 hours. And you remember the report on New York Times, and that it was reported that he's so much hurt by the war, by the attack, and he's cannot. It doesn't seem that I haven't heard any sort of sign that he's saying that he's injured, he has problems. He didn't say any of that. 7 hours they were discussing. He said that he described everything for him. And, when I heard the tone of the president of Iran, I said that this guy was somehow, it seems that he was, he he discussed every issue that he's facing, because he was somehow, I how can I say that, he was so much anxious about the situation. But right now it seems that it was the
Who was
president of
anxious?
Iran, the president of
You mean
Iran,
Pezeshkian?
Pezeshkian. After talking with the supreme leader, you see he just calming down and he's just getting relaxed. And the way that he's describing everything, that it seems that everything is going well on that front, and the way that they were talking about the situation. Because it's not, we have to accept that since Pezeshkian, Larry, I would say his name going to be, because since day one of his presidency, he was under tremendous pressure. Inauguration, the tour of, the Hamas leader, Ismail Haniyeh. They assassinated Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran before his inauguration
Right.
in Tehran. And since then, just imagine how things have been changing since then. And you can imagine how much pressure is on this guy.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah. But it seems that he has resolved, or the talks with the leader had helped him to calm down a little bit. So, Larry, coming back to the situation with the Yemen, do you think that Saudi Arabia is on the path of finding a solution, or you see the continuation happening, the continuation of the conflict? Because in the last,
Okay. Finding a solution to what?
by negotiating, not
Yeah, but a
fighting,
solution to what? Are we
to the
talking
situation with
Iran
Yemen.
or are we talking
No,
Yemen?
with
Okay.
Yemen, with
Yeah.
Yemen.
All right. Just want
I
to
think
be
that's
sure.
important for them. With Iran, is not dependent on Saudi Arabia. What with Yemen, they can resolve that by negotiating, I assume.
Yeah, they can. They should. Will they? I don't know. I mean, you're absolutely right. They should. This is a no-brainer. But so far, they seem content to try to continue to poke and prod at the Houthis, and the Houthis aren't waiting. They're fighting back and firing missiles into both the Saudi-controlled territory of Yemen as well as into Saudi Arabia. And I've described it as Saudi Arabia is like a guy that lives in a glass house, and he's decided to get into a rock fight with the Houthis who live in a brick house. Well, he can throw rocks all day long at that brick house, and it's might break that one window, and that's it. Whereas the Houthis can break up the Saudi house all day long, simply because it's made of glass. It's vulnerable.
It was reported on Saudi Al Arabia, in the channel of Saudi Arabia. It says that the Iranian IRGC Quds Force Commander Ismail Qani, he is in Baghdad meeting with PMF fighters and PMF figures. And the main issue, I assume, is the way they want to attack Saudi Arabia, and they're trying to, I assume, do you think that there is some sort of communications between Iran and the government in Iraq, with the help
Yeah,
of the commander of
yeah.
Iran, to calm down these people in Iraq, because they're not capable of doing that by themselves?
Well, I don't know if Iran's trying to calm them down at all. Why would you think Iran would want to calm them down?
The first thing that came to my mind, because he's there, he's talking with PMF. What was happening before? PMF attacked Saudi Arabia together with the United States, attacked PMF, and right now he's there talking with them. What is that then?
Right. Well, right. But again, I guess I wasn't following the logic here. So Iran has relationships with the PMF, but the PMF is part of the Iraqi government.
Mm.
And so as part of the Iraqi government, it's up to the Iraqi government to figure out what the hell to do. The fact that the Saudis and the U.S. thought it was a good idea to attack them, was pretty stupid in my view, because all it did was awaken, let's say, the sleeping giant that is Russia. So, I mean, it's just, or in this case, the sleeping giant, which is, these Iranian-backed groups and the Houthis. The Saudis, they pick a fight they can't win. That's what's so puzzling about it. It'd be one thing if they'd actually, in the previous 10 years of the war, they had prevailed. They didn't, and now they're caught. They're caught in a situation where the Houthis can continue to escalate and hurt Saudi Arabia significantly. The Saudis can't hurt the Houthis significantly.
It seems the understanding, Larry, in Israel is that the United States can continue the war. The reason they're not doing this is a political
Sorry
will.
about that.
Is the problem is the political will on the part of the Trump administration. They're not willing to continue the war. And it was asked by how do they feel about the stockpile, the interceptors, everything. They say there is no, he said all these reports on CNN or these different outlets, they don't believe in those reports, Larry. Israelis, I'm talking about.
I don't care. Doesn't matter what they believe. It is what it is. I mean, they believe in a magic person in the sky that said this land is yours. There is no such magic person in the sky that said this land was theirs, but that's what they believe. And now they want to believe, oh yeah, the United States has got plenty of weapons. Fine, believe that. Believe that there's no such thing as gravity. Jump out of a plane without a parachute. You'll land just fine. Hopefully you do it from 5,000 feet up. To make comments about stupid, irrational beliefs. People believe, there are people out there who believe the earth's flat. And God help you if you ever try to get into a rational discussion with them. Doesn't end well. These people get true believers and things. So that's what you've got here. True believers in a myth. Oh yeah, the United States has got plenty of weapons. We can keep fighting as long as we want. No, you can't.
But they can have some, if we assume that they don't have the information from the United States, that's why they're talking this way. But they know about their stockpile, their own stockpile in Israel. They have to know how is that, and because it's connected to what's going on in the United States.
Yeah. Look, they've got the ability to know what's going on with U.S. on the U.S. stockpiles. Hell, I figured it out. I used only open source information. I didn't have to go through some classified data to pick that up. You tell me the Israelis are incapable of doing what I did? I thought they were supposed to be pretty smart. So if they're incapable of doing what I did, then they're a bunch of dummies.
There is an interview of Naftali Bennett, former Israeli prime minister, in which he says Qatar is defeating Israel. He mentions that Qatar is cruel, deadly enemy, and perhaps Israel's most dangerous enemy. When he says Qatar is defeating Israel, I assume he's talking about the United States, inside the United States, because nothing of fight is happening. He's basically talking about the two lobbies inside the United States. Do you have any sort of evidence that the Qatari lobby in the United States is defeating the Israeli one?
No. Listen, I have no idea what he's talking about. They're claiming that Tucker Carlson's got major financial connections to Qatar. The Qataris allowed themselves to be used by Israel and the United States. So I don't have a lot of sympathy for them. They made their own damn bed. Now they got to lie in it. And They thought that they could get in with Israel and get in with the United States and they get financial rewards and they'd be taken care of, they'd be protected, and they found out, nope, those are empty promises. The United States is, they're not going to come to your rescue. Qatar.
Beyond that, coming out of the United States, in looking at Qatar and Israel today, in what sense they're the enemy? I don't see Qatar being militarily that capable to go against Israel. I don't see any sort of, even with the case of Hamas, they tried to cooperate with the United States. They did nothing. But when you see he's passionately talking about this is the worst enemy of Israel, we have to do something about it.
Yeah.
And he's going to be, in my opinion, if Benjamin Netanyahu, loses the upcoming election, he's going to be the next prime minister of Israel. And he's going to define the policies of Israel based
I'm
on that.
saying what we're dealing with are delusional people. They make up narratives. They end up believing their own narratives, and it's not true. But you got to go with what they believe. Take that into account. Say, okay, they believe this. They believe it is a threat. They believe it isn't a threat, regardless of what the facts are. So I've given up trying to worry about correcting people's wrong facts if they're not willing to actually entertain, to ask simple questions and respond to those questions and allow them to make up their own mind. They decided Hamas and Hezbollah, they're terrorist organizations. They kill thousands. Nothing to discuss here. Well, that's not true, but okay. You're shutting yourself off from actually stepping in and looking objectively at the facts.
Larry, do you feel that when it comes to Israel's position as an outcome of this war, how do they feel? How much of what they're feeling about themselves today is connected with the reality? And I'm talking about Benjamin Netanyahu, the way he's talking about Israel, the situation that Israel, the position that Israel is in right now as an outcome of the war, as the war he started, he was advocating for. And how much of what they're talking about is based on the reality of what has happened? Because that could be helpful for the case of Lebanon, for other cases as well.
How so? Explain that to me.
Because if, let's assume they started this war against Iran, and there is an outcome. There is we know the outcome of that so far for Israel. Militarily, geopolitically, economically, in each and every aspect. How is that going to play out? Because if you try to redefine the way